What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and you might notice I'm holding something. It's time. So now that I've released my excitement, what a great game! I mean, there's no other word for it. It was the perfect way to end this match for Chelsea, obviously. I mean, you've got Mourinho returning to Stamford Bridge. You've got a point to prove against possibly one of the top clubs. Now it's kind of looking iffy on Man U's side, but the past two clubs that we faced, Liverpool and Arsenal, that are in the top half of the table, both losses. So it's kind of like the question is being asked, is it just because we're facing the lower clubs that we're getting these good results? Today kind of proved that we do have the quality to take them on. And mainly because, the system really works. You look at the system that Conte's got, you look at what he's doing with these players, you look at the energy that he's instilled them with, and it's all working out brilliantly. So let's talk about, in general, as I'm catching my breath. That's how out of shape I am. That wore me out. So, in general, the referees were okay. There was one moment where Bailly probably should have been sent off I think it was in the second half. Hazard's making a run into the box, and he just sticks his leg out off the ball and trips him up. And then, of course, right after that, he's going off, oh, I'm injured. Sure, it should have possibly been a second yellow, but at the same time, David Luiz's challenge on Fellaini in the first half was a little bit high. I think because the ball was there to be challenged for, it was like, that's the reason he gave him the yellow. It was probably a harsh yellow. It was a yellow with a warning. But Bailly, I really thought, first of all, not even a foul, which it should have been. And second, possibly a yellow because it's an off-the-ball challenge. It's Hazard has played the ball over. He sticks his leg out into his run and just completely trips him up. I don't know how the refs missed it, but if they had seen it, it possibly could have been a second yellow. But the rest of the game, they were fine. Didn't make any major mistakes. The mistakes that were there are the minor ones that you expect the ref to miss every now and then. So I thought they, based on, I guess, the rest of the referees that I've seen this year, this was not that bad. So as far as Man U goes, I think we were helped out a lot today because, their defense was terrible. And yeah, you can say that our attacking power put them on the back foot and made them have to scramble. And yes, that is true, but at the same time, you look at the mistakes that were happening. The mistake to give up a goal in the 30th second of the game, it shouldn't be happening. That goal should not have happened. So we were helped out a lot by the fact that their defense really was not fully there today. I don't know if they were just not there mentally, or if there were some focus issues, or if they just weren't ready for the high press. But whatever it was, I will say that we obviously took advantage of it very, very well. But yeah, overall, the team performance, I've got to say, it was great. Absolutely perfect. High press, didn't give them a whole lot of chances. The chances they did get, the ones that were shots from outside the box, Courtois is there. He makes the save. The ones that are inside the box, there's a defender in the way, blocking it or putting them off, so it's not a good shot. So overall, even the chances that they did get, because obviously at some point they're going to turn on the turbo, they're going to try to push hard, they're going to try to get a goal to get back into it. Every time they did that, it was like meeting a brick wall. You could not get past them, and if you did, you weren't getting the shot away. So, really good overall performance. Conte's lineup, I at first was not happy with it. Pedro starting over Willian, Cahill starting over Terry. I'm just like, why? I love the formation, I love what he's doing with it, but why Cahill and Pedro? And then, of course, those are the two that get the first two goals. I will say that Pedro, that is what he does well, that run in behind. He is that type of player. He thinks like that. And William, maybe not as much. But I will say the one thing that I think Pedro does do well over William is that defensively he just pressures nonstop. I mean, Willian, he's fast, he puts a lot of pressure, and he can go forever. But Pedro's the one that steps in and puts hard pressure, makes them play the ball. And if you don't play the ball with Pedro around, he's going to poke it off of you. So I will say that is one thing that he's got going for him, and one thing that helped us quite a few times in the first half. I mean, there are several moments in the first 5 or 6 minutes that all of a sudden it looks like we have a chance on goal because Pedro stepped in and won it, and now all of a sudden he's going on goal. So I still think Willian's a better overall player, but if you want somebody that's going to step in and win the ball for you, Pedro's that guy. He's going to do it. But on the ball, I think Willian's clearly a better player. I mean, so many times in the first and second half, Pedro's on the ball, and I'm just like, somebody give him help. He needs help, and then nobody gives him help. He tries to dribble somebody, and it's poked off of him. So he's not much of a dribbler. His passing is average, but at least he pressures well. So Cahill, I thought he got exposed a couple times, but overall, I think this was a better game for him defensively. I think that back three, he's starting to learn to work with the other two, and I think because he's got more defensive cover with Luis in the middle, and then, of course, Dave on the other side, I think that helps him, so whenever he does get exposed, there's somebody there to cover for him, whereas if you've only got two defenders and he's one of those two, he gets beat, sometimes the other defender's not there to cover for him. So I think this back three helps him, but my one problem with him is still just dwells way too long on the ball. I mean, there are so many moments where I am sitting here like nervously bouncing because he's just sitting there on the ball, not doing anything. And it's not even like he's ready to play the ball, it's like he's just sitting there on the ball. And if somebody stepped quickly, which they've got speed and Lingard and Rashford up there, if one of those two step quickly, I'm worried that they're going to poke it off of them, and once again, they're in on goals. So I don't know why he still continues to dwell on the ball so long. I don't know why he continues to try to do the long ball over the top, because he can't do either of those things. You would think after so many mistakes, it'd be like, okay, you need to learn, and he still doesn't learn. He still tries the long ball, it goes out of bounds, or it goes to the defender. He sits there on the ball, it takes 5 touches, and defenders pressuring him, and then that pass that he makes is a poor pass that puts the next person under pressure, and now that person's under pressure. So he didn't have as bad a game as he has been having, but I still would prefer John Terry in there over him. If he's 100% fit. If he's not fully fit, maybe that's why they're not playing him. But I don't know. I think Terry's a much more solid player than Cahill is. And then, of course, well, I guess that's it as far as the worrisome players. I mean, both of their goals were nice. Pedro's was a good hard work. Cahill was a good set piece, and he put himself in good position to win it. So, individual performances besides those two, though, Courtois, I thought, had probably one of the better games of his career so far. I mean, he actually had to make saves tonight that really were difficult saves. They weren't just, oh, somebody's shooting at you from outside the box. They were taking shots to the far post, and he's got to get over there, and he did. So I think several great saves. He had one double save in the first half. He's really stepping it up, in my opinion. I mean, he's still young, so he's still got some of that inexperience that he's working through. But when you play at this high level, I think you get exposed a bit more often. So that's what we see a lot of. We see that inexperience coming through. But I think he's learning. He's really pushing himself to make difficult saves that I think, last year he didn't have to make those saves a lot because the defense was so poor that most of the shots were coming inside the box. Now the shots are having to come from outside the box because that's the only place that they have open. They get inside the box, they've got 3 people on them, and they can't get the shot off. So I think that's where our defense has really stepped up to help him. But then he's got to step up as well and make the saves, and that's what he's doing. So really good game from him. David Luiz, really impressed today. Defensively has been the one part of his game that he needed to work on the most. I mean, attacking-wise, got a great long ball. He's got some speed that he can just turn on quickly and dribble through a couple people. But today, defensively, he stuck back there for a majority of the game. He didn't step out too quickly and made a couple really good blocks inside the box. So, really impressed today. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's David Luiz. I'm not used to him being the solid defender that we can count on, but today he looked like that solid defender that we can count on. So hopefully that continues. He was also helped out by the fact that they really couldn't do anything getting forward. Ibrahimovic was not a part of that game at all. There was one volley he had late on that Courtois had to make a great save for, but other than that, he did pretty much nothing. So Dave, I think, easily the best defender we have right now. I mean, just the times that he steps in and wins the ball are just it's the perfect time. There's a moment where, oh no, Manu's starting to say, oh, there goes Dave. He's gone. It astounds me how many times he just wins the ball. I want somebody to look at the stats and see how many times that Dave has stepped in and won the ball, how many times that he stopped a counterattack, how many times that he stopped an attack in its place and just started our counterattack. He's quick, he's strong, he puts himself in for a good challenge. Espilicueta, Dave, best defender. I have him on my fantasy team for a reason. Up into the midfield, you've got Alonso. First goal, maybe not what he was intending, but still a good ball. It's in behind the defense. It's dangerous, so they have to make the adjustments. They didn't make the adjustments. We get a goal. And then on top of that, defensively, he was exposed a little bit in this game because Valencia has a lot of pace and he does not. So that is one thing that I'm a bit worried about going forward, is that he doesn't have the pace. And on top of that, he's on Gary Cahill's side, who doesn't really have pace. So it's like if somebody with pace is on the left side, they might get a lot of room to run. So defensively, though, he's looking a bit better. He's putting in good challenges. He's really tall, which I didn't even realize at first. But when he started playing a couple weeks ago, and you really look at him, he towers above a lot of people. And there are a lot of balls coming into the backside that he heads away. I'm just like, wow, he's really tall. That's good to have. But I mean, he's a good player, and he's showing his ability week after week so far. So I'm glad to have him in there. He's a good wingback too. So it's great to have Conte and Matic in the midfield, strong, solid defensively. I mean, just absolutely shut down pretty much most of the midfield play. They had to go out wide so many times because Conte and Matic are right there. Sorry. But they are right there. You can't pass around the midfield. You can't move the ball. You can't stay on the ball for very long because one of them is stepping in to win it. And then on top of that, Conte gets himself a goal today. It's the perfect day for him. I mean, he played amazingly. He steps in, wins several balls. His passing has gotten a lot better. And then he just dribbles through the defense and finds the back post for a goal. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then we've also got Moses on the right side. I said it last week against Leicester, and I'm going to say it again this week. He has found his role. That right wing back role is exactly what he needed because he gets up in the attack, he's fast, he starts a counterattack very well, but then he gets back and he's like this little gnat that just keeps chasing you. Like if you want to live in an area where there are a ton of gnats, which I don't, but I have had to travel to some areas like in South Georgia that just are filled with gnats, you know that you can't get rid of them. Like there's always one flying at you. If you swat that one away, here comes 20 more at your face. That's what Moses is. He's just a little gnat following those guys around. They can't play when he's nearby because he's constantly just putting himself in their way. He's just flying around the field. It's ridiculous. And honestly, I think one of the things that was talked about is that Willian came back this week after what happened with his mother last week. He came back and he doesn't get the start, Moses does. I honestly don't think that's Willian's position. I think this is Moses' position. And I honestly wonder who's going to take up that role after, if Moses ends up getting suspended or if he's hurt for a game. Like, I wonder who's going to take up that role because I don't think that's a wing role. I think it is honestly a wing back role. And I think Moses plays well as a wing back. Because you really look at what a wing's supposed to do. They're supposed to stay wide and pretty much get up and down the line and cover the wing. A wing back role is more like they get up, but they are supposed to hold back a bit more. And it's really interesting just to kind of see that because I haven't really seen wingbacks deployed effectively, I guess, because obviously I've been following Chelsea for a long time and they've always stuck with the back four. But even when other teams have gone with three in the back with two wingbacks, they haven't really been effective wingbacks. They've just been kind of floating everywhere, and it's really hard to tell what their positioning is. These wingbacks are really committed to their role. They get up, but then they're back, and they're holding that line. They can't really tuck in that much, but if it's on the other side of the field, then they've got to cover that guy that's coming in. It's I don't know what else to say. Moses plays that role perfectly. And I don't think anybody else on the team knows how to play that role right now. Maybe Aina with some time because he does some good stuff getting forward. Defensively, he's pretty good too. So maybe he'll step in there if Moses can't play. But for right now, Moses should have that spot down pat. Willian, I think, should be where Hazard and Pedro are. I think those three can interchange within those two spots. Speaking of Hazard, great game from him. I thought he maybe could have done a bit more, but at the same time, I think he did enough to sort of solidify that he is back to what he does best. His goal was just absolutely what I expect from him. The quick little run in behind, Matic finds him, cuts Smalling, and just finds the back post. It was exactly what I expect from Hazard. And honestly, like I said, the only thing that I would say about him is I think he needs to do it a bit more throughout the game. Because honestly, it was a bit in the first half, like late on, and then a majority of the second half, then he was really on and playing. So I would like to see it a bit more throughout the entire game instead of just these few moments here and there. And then finally, Costa up top, I thought was really kind of, I don't know, like he was trying really hard, he was working really hard, but there are moments that I think he needs to realize that he's not the type of player that's going to dribble somebody. He's more of a hold it up, let somebody come up and help you, and then lay it off. And when he was doing that, that's when we had our best spells of possession. It's when he tried to dribble, whenever he got it turned and tried to go past him, that's whenever Man U was constantly back at us because we couldn't keep the ball for very long. So that is the one thing he needs to change. It needs to be less turning and going and more hold it, let the either the defender is going to come and kick you or you get to lay it off to Hazard or Willian or Pedro, whoever's playing. That's more of what his game is about. So maybe go back to that a bit more, and I think he'll find some more joy. But I'm happy with his work ethic today and happy with his attitude as well because we didn't really have, there are a few moments in the first half where he was getting frustrated with his teammates because, poor ball or try to dribble somebody and get it kicked out of bounds. But other than that, his attitude today was fine. He got kicked a couple times and he wasn't like yelling at the referee. He's just a couple times mildly upset. So it's a lot better from him, especially knowing that he's on that fifth yellow. Very, very, very interesting to see him sort of downplay that today. So that was good. And then the three subs that come in, I'm happy with all of them. Chalobah comes in first for Pedro. Had some really good moments. Megged Herrera at one point. Just constantly, kind of like Conte and Matic, just constantly putting that pressure and sometimes stepping in and winning the ball in the midfield. And I think he does that very well. And I think he's honestly a player that if Conte is hurt or suspended, or if Matic is hurt or suspended, I'd rather see Chalobah in there over like Oscar or Fabregas to some extent because now that I don't know, it's really hard to say because Fabregas, I haven't seen him in this setup yet, or Oscar for that matter, and I feel like a majority of our attack comes from those front three and then our wing backs getting up. So it's not so much Fabregas's, I guess, formation anymore because he works really well in that holding midfield with one up top. He gets the ball deep and then sends it long to that one, and that's where our attack comes from. Now, I don't know if that would work as well because we've got more people up top. The holding midfielders are more defensive than they are, getting the ball and sending it long. We're trying to keep a bit more possession as well, so I'll be interested to see him coming into it, but for right now, Chalobah, I think, is playing really well. He's young, so that just kind of ups his worth, I guess, because that means he's got a future too in front of him. Um, he's playing really well. I think he's working hard, and he's really trying to solidify the fact that he can be in this first team and he can be a part of the team, and possibly up his FIFA rating too. I've been playing a lot of FIFA. I'm sorry. And then the last two subs, Willian and Batshuayi, come in and worked hard, played well. Really pleased with their performances too. Really wish one of them could have gotten a goal though, because for Willian it would be great for him to get a goal after what happened with his mom last week. For Batshuayi, I just really want him to get a goal because I feel like he's been kind of, I don't know. It's hard to really think about him playing right now because Costa is in such good form. So it's hard to say, yeah, let's put Batshuayi over Costa because honestly, I'd rather have Costa in. The way he's playing right now, the hard, aggressive play, it's something that he does very well, and it's his game. It makes him a world-class striker. Batshuayi, even though he's a hard worker, I don't see him being the same quality that Costa has. So I don't see Batshuayi uprooting him from his starting position, but I do want him to be able to get some goals because he is a good player. He's also younger, so it helps the fact that he's in there for the long haul. He's not just there for a couple years and then he's gone. So, long story short, great game. 4-0 win is just something to really solidify. We are here and we are going to challenge at least for the top four this year. That's something that a lot of people were like, oh, Chelsea's not going to win the title this year. If they don't, okay. It's not something that I was really expecting at the beginning of the year. Like last year, we ended up in 10th place. The main goal for this year should have been, let's get back into the Champions League. And then we can talk about the future and getting back into the title race. But the fact that we are now within 1 point of the top three, that just kind of cements our position that we are here to stay. We're not the same as last year. And on top of that, although I appreciate what Mourinho's done for the club in the past and what he did bringing us sort of out of the mid-table obscurity into a big club and winning us our first titles or first Premier League titles, I think last year kind of just showed that right now, I think his managerial style is kind of outdated. It's becoming a thing of the past that you make your players do what you want them to do, and that's it. I think it's become a lot about, I'm not saying that player power should be a thing, but you also have to play to players' strengths. So if you're not playing them at their strongest position, if you're not playing them in a position that really helps further their game, yeah, they're going to get burnt out. They're not going to be happy with their what is that? They're not going to be happy with how they're playing, and when results go against you, that's whenever things can go bad like they did last year. So I think Conte's got our team playing how they should be playing. He's got them playing in positions they want to be playing, and I think it shows that. You look at where Mourinho is now. He's at Man U, our rivals, so that is another reason for me to want to get one over on him. But the way that they're playing, they don't look happy. They don't look like they are just playing well in those positions. I think, Paul Pogba, probably a really good player, but when you play him in a bit more of a holding position like that, I don't think he's effective. I think he's more of an attacking midfielder, and if you're not going to play him there, he's not going to be able to do much for you. So that's more talking about Man U, but from a Mourinho standpoint, I think that this was a really good win for us because it shows that what happened last year, the sickness, the infection that Mourinho sort of spread with his kind of just vitriol, the way that he handled himself, the way he handled the players of the club, the way he handled Eva Canero, I think this showed that a lot of that is gone now, and they've really stepped it up. They've stepped up their attitude. They've stepped up their personalities. They stepped it all up. It was a great game today. I'm looking forward to the next one because I'm actually excited now. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next, how they're going to handle themselves in the next game. I'm pretty sure we've got West Ham in the League Cup next. I want to say it's an away game, but I can't remember. So I'm looking forward to it. We need a really good cup run because it's been a while since we've done much in a I think we may have won the Capital One Cup 2 years ago, possibly. I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we've won the Capital One Cup or the FA Cup. At least it's been at least a year. So it'd be nice for us to continue on in this cup and really push forward, try to win this one, at least get one trophy under our belt this year, hopefully two. But hey, I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys thought of this game down in the comment section below. Who was your man of the match? Who was your less man of the match? I don't know. Who do you think needs to be taken out of the squad for the next game? Because, I mean, obviously everybody did play well today, but were there any players that sort of disappointed you? Let me know. We can talk about, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.